All right, so quick review of the Claude Computer Use feature that just released. What does it do? First of all, it, as the name puts it, uses your computer. You can point, click, scroll, type on your real Mac, and it's only for Mac right now because it works off of the Claude Mac OS desktop app. And it's included in the Pro and Max plans, and it can run native apps on your Mac, and also it can be used through your phone remotely via the dispatch feature. So the way it works, and I'll demo this in a sec, Claude sees what and then decides what to do next. So first it takes a screenshot, reads it, reasons, then acts, then verifies, and if it didn't work, it'll loop again. So that's how it works. And it uses accessibility trees, not just screenshot pixels. Having said that, I would recommend this feature, Computer Use, as a last resort because of the heavy token usage. So Computer Use takes about 10,000 tokens per action. So if you can do something with the Chrome extension, do it via the Chrome extension. It'll take about 1/10 the number of tokens. So you can get more usage out of your Claude subscription. Or if you're using it off the API, you could save on your monthly Claude bill. And of course, even better than Chrome extension, MCP connectors, APIs, CLIs, for all the apps that you need, like Slack, Google Calendar, Gmail. Nowadays, there's pretty much a MCP server for almost anything, so you shouldn't really need to use Computer Use that often, except for some native Mac apps that don't have APIs and that can't be accessed from the web browser. Also, MCP connectors work much faster. Chrome extension is slower than MCP connectors, but faster than Computer Use. Computer Use is quite slow and very costly. So for example, one native Mac app that doesn't have APIs is the calculator. So just as a demo, we'll try having Claude use the calculator. So open up the native Mac calculator. Let's go. So now when you ask it to use apps on your Mac or do anything on your Mac, it will first ask you for permission. Okay, now what's happened is it's minimized to the side, and the screen, as you just saw, was glowing orange on the edges, indicating that Claude is working on that screen. I'll ask it to do a few calculations. Once again, as you can see, it's clicking around with the pointer and doing the calculations. Now, it just said on the right side that its clicks were off a bit because the buttons are small. It's going to do another loop to get it right. Like I showed you before, it'll do a quality check, and if it doesn't pass, it'll try again. The other thing I'll show you is the fact that you can have it use your computer while you're away from the computer through your iPhone. So if you text it from your phone, hey, I'm late, export the pitch deck as a PDF and attach the calendar invite, it can do that via using your Mac. Now your Mac has to be awake, and then we'll go ahead and navigate the files export, save to desktop, open Google Calendar and Chrome, find the meeting, click add attachment, then uploads the PDF, then saves the event. Done. I'll show you how the dispatch feature works. All right, so now I have Claude open on my iPhone. I'm mirroring my iPhone onto my computer screen, as you can see. I'm going to ask it to, so while we're on mobile, we'll open up the dispatch feature. That's this one. And so dispatch can now use your computer from your mobile. So for example, if I say, go to my Mac settings and switch to dark mode. Let's see if it can do this. And by the way, while I have that on my desktop, note that it's just mirroring, so it's actually running on my phone. I'm just mirroring what's on the phone here, just so you can see it. So it's asking for permission, of course, and we'll allow it. Okay, back to the orange glow. There we go. It opened settings. That's good. As you can see, it's quite slow. And so it'll get faster over time. But for now, I would really just use this as a last resort. Like I said, I would default to MCPs, APIs, or even the Chrome extension. But just to show the point that it can do anything on your computer, I'm showing you having it change one of the system settings. So it's saying my Mac was already in dark mode. Okay, my bad. Let's try light mode. All right, so we'll try switching to light mode. Now, once again, it's extremely slow. So when you're at your computer, honestly, it's best if you just do things yourself, unless there's something that you're really struggling with, then maybe it could help you. And the other strong use case is if you're away from your Mac and you want to do something on your Mac, you can use the dispatch feature through mobile. Okay, so unfortunately it really struggled with that, and I've been waiting over 10 minutes and I wasn't able to change from dark mode to light mode for some reason. And let's try something else. Let's try open the clock and set an alarm for 11 p.m. And again, I'm doing this from my iPhone. Okay, so we'll give it permission to access the clock. Oh, look at that. For some reason, I had a timer on for, looks like, over 2,000 hours. I don't know where that came from. But let's see if it can set the alarm that I asked for. Okay, so I wasn't able to set an alarm either. So that's 2 out of 3 tasks that failed, and all 3 were very simple. The calculator worked, adjusting settings, creating an alarm on the Mac did not work, or at least it's taking forever. So I'm not going to try anymore, because if it struggled with the alarm and the settings, I don't think it can do anything more complex. So we'll move on with the rest of this review. So like you just saw, it is very prone to making mistakes. And if your prompt isn't very specific, it might fail. And benchmarks show that 50% of the time it actually fails on complex tasks and is very slow. A 5-minute human task would take just as long, but more likely a lot longer. And the other limitation is that your Mac cannot be asleep. So if your Mac is sleeping, this won't work in terms of getting it to do stuff from your mobile onto your Mac. Now, the few tests that I just ran is surprising, because Anthropic promised in their benchmarks that Claude Opus 4.6 with computer use scored 72.1%, basically the same as what a human would on the OS World benchmark test. But as we just saw, it's not able to use it as well as a human would. So I think this metric is most likely over exaggerated. Now, GPT 5.4 actually ranks higher on computer use, but with a caveat, that's not on your actual computer, that's on a virtual machine. Whereas Claude can control items on your real Mac, with your real files, with your real apps. So because it's so slow and prone to mistakes and prone to failure, my recommendation is to only use it if you needed to do something that you can do from the terminal and from Chrome. For example, things that are not in your browser, like keynotes, numbers, pages, preview, these native macOS apps. If you wanted to automate something with any of those apps, computer use is really the only way to do it, because Apple doesn't provide an API or MCP for those tools. And then there's some old software, for example, accounting software, that are very old, and legacy enterprise tools. They're often not going to have web version. And so again, if you want to run an automation on those, you could do it through computer use. The other area where it might be useful is if you have multiple non-browser applications working together. And this is something it can do that the Chrome browser and the terminal just can't do. So the verdict of this review, so it might work well for native Mac app automations or for single app tasks. And what also works, although not as well as running it off your computer is dispatched from your phone. So they say it works, although as we just tested, it did not work that well. And what it can do, if there are pop-ups or authentication flows, it'll likely fail. And so you really don't want to give it unsupervised access to your real files. So again, when would this come in handy? If you have a native Mac app without an API MCP and you want to do some sort of a weekly automation for it. But Anthropic said this is still in research preview, so you would need to be okay with it failing a lot. So according to Anthropic, in the past 6 months, their Claude model jumped in its computer use capability by almost 5-6x. And at this rate, we can expect it to get a lot better very soon. So right now, like I said, there's a 50% failure rate on complex tasks. But in the future, probably 6 months from now, it'll work a lot more flawlessly with complex automations on your computer. But despite its limitations, what's really great about this is that every app without an API or an MCP just became automatable. Although you'll probably have to wait a few more months until it's good enough to actually use on a regular basis. So that's my verdict on the new Claude Computer Use feature. It's promising, but not quite there yet. It's just not good enough yet to rely upon. But personally, I'm still excited because this means that very soon I'll be able to fully automate any app on my Mac, even if it doesn't have an API. So despite the shortcomings, there is still a lot to be excited about. Those who are very excited, they have a good reason to be. But you just want to set your expectations for now. All right, so I hope this video was informative. If you want more objective breakdowns of new AI features and AI tools, subscribe to my channel. It'll really help me and the channel grow. And I look forward to making more objective value add features for you guys. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.